How are you doing? My name is Philip Fletcher, Chairman of Faulkner County Tea Party, and we're going to go through this question and answer form. The way this will go is I'll ask each of you for 30 seconds to give an opening statement, all right, whatever you want. Then from there, we'll proceed with a lightning round, which will be a one-word answer, a 30-second response, set of questions, a 60-second set of questions, 60-second response, and then you have an opportunity to question your opponent. We'll go through this twice, okay? And then we'll give you an opportunity to close for 30 seconds. All right, so Mr. Winningham, you open first, 30 seconds. Give yourself an introduction.
Okay. Thank you for letting me be here. My name is Winningham. I'm running for Circuit Judge, 2nd Division. A little bit about myself is I've been married for 18 years to Caroline. She's definitely my better half. I have 3 children, ages 13, 10, and 6. I grew up here in the county, went to Guy Perkins and Greenbrier Public Schools, had 1 brother, a lieutenant colonel in the Army, he's a helicopter pilot, and 2 nephews. They're both in college. One is discharged out of the Army Rangers. Okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Troy Braswell, and I am excited to be here tonight. I am your Chief Deputy in the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, and what an awesome opportunity to be here. Thank you for attending. Thank you for the Tea Party for hosting this. And I want to stop and say this. We wouldn't be here tonight to be able to make these comments, to be able to talk about important issues if it weren't for the men and women that have given the ultimate sacrifice and served for our country. So as we go through that tonight, just remember that's why we're here tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Winningham, we'll start with lightning round. This will be a one-word answer, okay? Have you filled out your tournament bracket?
I have not filled it, no.
Troy?
No.
Okay.
We talked about this in the back room.
Okay.
We're both very embarrassed.
Mr. Braswell,
Yes.
Next lightning round question. Have you represented more plaintiffs or defendants?
Plaintiffs.
Probably number-wise, plaintiffs.
Okay. Mr. Winningham, last one. Should judges be elected or appointed?
Elected.
Elected.
Mr. Braswell, now we'll start with you with 30-second response round. All right. What has been the greatest accomplishment of your legal career?
The greatest accomplishment in my legal career has to be State versus Richard Conte. As many of you may know, in May of 2002, Carter Elliott and Timmy Wayne Robinson were executed here in Conway. And for 10 years, 2 elected prosecutors refused to do anything with it. Flat out refused. The family had to sit and wait outside their office for answers, and they never got them. Ladies and gentlemen, after 45 minutes of deliberation, the jury came back with guilty of both counts.
So what are you doing?
Probably the greatest accomplishment I had is when I prosecuted 3 guys who came from Georgia who robbed a bank in Greenbrier. We had several days of jury trial, and they ended up getting what was reported as could be the longest sentence in the history of the Judicial District.
Mr. Winningham, next question goes to you. 30-second response. Have you ever had your integrity questioned? And if so, how did you handle it?
I have had my integrity questioned a few months ago, and the way I handled it was that it was in a court proceeding where I represented the gentleman here in circuit court. The way I handled it was I was doing my duty. I have to do an oath. I take an oath to represent my client, and I think I handled it very well, and I wouldn't do anything different than what I did.
Mr. Braswell?
Yes. Just recently, in a case last week, we prosecuted Jack Gillian, the Chief of Staff at UCA. When we filed charges, the defense attorney came outside the courthouse and said, "I'll be amused to see the prosecutor make its case." They accused us of paying witnesses, to influencing witnesses in their testimony. And the way I handled that was to be patient, to pray, and to be resolved. And I knew that I would have my opportunity to respond, and I did that in front of a jury, and that's why they found him guilty.
Mr. Braswell, next question goes to you, 30-second response. What is the most important tool a judge can use in resolving a case?
Well, I'll use the word again, patience. I think patience and knowledge of the law are two very important tools that a judge can use. You're going to hear a lot of stuff as a judge, and you're going to have to be able to differentiate between what's right and what's wrong. And sometimes that's going to take patience, but most importantly, it's going to take your knowledge of the law.
Mr. Winningham?
I think a lot of it has to do with your reputation and your experience, what type of cases that you've handled. I have been a prosecuting attorney, a public defender, and then most of my career I've been in private practice. Handled a lot of different type of cases in family law, custody cases, property issues, and I think that judges hear all different kinds of cases, and I think experience makes a lot of difference.
Mr. Winningham, next question goes to you. Now we move to the 60-second response. How would you describe your judicial philosophy?
I think that the bedrock of somebody who's running for circuit judge is that they're supposed to be completely unbiased and completely objective. That's what people count on. People count on when they come in before a circuit judge that your case, their case, on both sides is the most important thing to them. Because a lot of people are coming in, they have their kids, they have their grandkids, they have their property, and sometimes they have their freedom to look at, and then you have the victims as well. So on a judicial level, somebody that has experience, that's handled all different kinds of cases, that has the temperament to hear different kinds of cases, who has sat in every seat in the room as a prosecutor in private practice. But people have to know that you're completely fair and unbiased and apply the facts to the law.
Mr. Braswell, same question.
Do you mind asking the question?
Yes. Could you please describe your judicial philosophy?
I would say number one is strict constructionist. The Constitution says things that mean something. That has to be important for any judge. That the Constitution has to be strictly interpreted. You're going to apply that in every single case. You also have to have a judge that understands what it means to be a strong conservative. And that flows right in with being a strict constructionist. You also have to have a judge that's willing to work hard. You're going to have to tell people no. You're going to have to make tough decisions. You can't shy away from that. And so working hard, strict constructionist, and making sure that everyone in that courtroom knows that you care about their case.
All right, next question goes to you, Mr. Braswell. Please describe your experiences and qualifications that make you the best candidate for the position that you're seeking.
Absolutely. I had a wonderful opportunity to clerk for the Arkansas Supreme Court. Justice Jim Gunner was a circuit judge out of Hope and was on the Supreme Court. That gave me an opportunity to work very close with our justice system to understand what it means to handle a case at the highest level. I got to write opinions for the Arkansas Supreme Court. After that, I got to clerk for two different judges, circuit judges. I had been the right hand of the judge. I understand what it takes to run a courtroom. I understand the temperament that you have to have with the litigants that are before you. And also, I've served as a private attorney where I've represented businesses that understand how hard people work for the things that they've obtained in their life. And that sometimes it may be the government, it may be someone else that's trying to take that away. I understand how you have to defend that. And then finally, as a prosecuting attorney, I have tried some of the hardest cases that have been in this district, and we've had great success. I think all those things combined make me the best candidate for this position.
Mr. Winningham, same question. 60 seconds.
Most of my career, I have been in private practice, and criminal cases come before circuit judges. I've been a deputy prosecutor. I think I was a very good deputy prosecutor. I've tried capital murder cases, rape cases, all kinds of different types of cases. Had several jury trials. I think someone that serves as a judge needs to have some kind of experience in dealing with all different types of cases. A lot of what I do now deals with family law and property disputes. I have sat in the other chair. I've been a public defender. You have to do what your duty is as an attorney. As a prosecutor, you have a duty. You have a duty to do justice. As a public defender, you have a duty to represent your client. As a private practicing attorney in private business, you handle all different types of cases, civil cases, and so that's what I think my experience makes me qualified to be a circuit judge.
Mr. Winningham, now is your opportunity to ask Mr. Braswell a question. Mr. Braswell, 30-second response.
Troy and I get along real well, so I'm trying I would ask, how long have you lived in this district?
Yeah, absolutely. How long do I have?
30 seconds.
This is great. My wife and I moved up here, built the house last May. Conway's special to us because this is where we met in college. The point of that question is to get at what are my ties here. This gives me an opportunity to talk about my great-grandfather. He moved down here from Iowa, was part of the first faculty group at the Normal State College. He's got a street name for him on campus. My father graduated from Arkansas State Teachers College. This community matters to us. As soon as Cody called me and asked me to come back to this place where my family has roots and businesses, we took that opportunity.
Mr. Braswell, your opportunity to ask Mr. Winningham.
Sure.
Your question, Mr. Winningham, 30-second response.
Mr. Winningham is correct. We do get along very well, and I want to take an opportunity to say something nice about Mr. Winningham. He is a very respectful person. Someone that is always, even though we've been on the opposite sides of the aisle, he's been very respectful to me, and I've seen him be respectful to other people. And I think that is a quality that is needed for a circuit judge. So I guess my question is, do you think I have any quality that would make me a good judge?
Here's what I'm going to say about Troy. Troy and I have always been upfront. We've had several cases with each other. We've always been straight with each other. I think Troy is an excellent prosecuting attorney. I do. He's always been upstanding and upright and straight with me. And I think those are qualifications that make someone a good prosecuting or a good judge. I do. So, you know, I'm not running against anybody or anything. I'm running for the position. So.
Well, let's get into that.
We're going to hug.
Mr. Winningham, or excuse me, Mr. Braswell, it's your turn now to ask another question of Mr. Winningham.
Sure, absolutely. Joe, back in 2012, you had an opportunity to serve this community as the county attorney. And at some point, you decided that you were going to resign that position and represent Jeff Johnston, who stole from the county. So I guess my question is, what made you decide Jeff Johnston over the county and the community that he stole from?
Obviously. There was a vacancy in the county attorney's job. They didn't have anybody. They needed somebody to come fill that position. I took that position without pay, just as a service to the community. Their situation came along because Mr. Johnston, because I'm in business, he came to me and asked me to represent him. That's what I do. I have a duty to represent that gentleman. For me to represent someone who is employed by the county, I can then represent the county as well. So.
Mr. Winningham, your opportunity to ask Mr. Braswell a question. 30-second response.
I'll give you your check afterwards.
All right. We'll go to the 60-second response to 2 questions. Please identify a court decision by name or an issue that you believe should have been decided differently, and give your reasons why. Yes, sir. 60-second response.
I guess, when you're in law school, you go over all different kinds of court decisions. What I believe that probably should have been decided differently was a long time ago. But I believe that all people are equal and have the same rights. They have the same opportunities to do well in this country. That's what makes us what we are. If you work hard, you can do well. The Dred Scott decision, where they stated that the Supreme Court in the 1850s about that someone of African American was the property, in my opinion, should have been decided differently. And you asked me a decision that I believe should have been decided differently. That goes against really a lot of everything that we stand for here. Everybody here in America should be given the same opportunity to try to do well. So,
Thank you. Mr. Braswell, same question.
In case I decided wrong, I would choose everyone. How long do I have?
60 seconds.
Okay. I'll give you one that's recent. I believe it's NFIB versus Civilis, and you may know this better as the Obamacare case. This case was really important. It was an opportunity to see where this Supreme Court was headed and what Justice Roberts was going to do in that position. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't think I have to convince you or tell you that it's a slippery slope when the government, through the power of taxation, gets to tell you the things that you have to have or the things that you can't have. And what concerns me about that decision is, where do we go from there? What's next? And to me, that was a pivotal decision and a pivotal moment in our nation's history and really for our future too.
Mr. Braswell, your next question. What is the greatest challenge to this position?
I think the greatest challenge is it's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take long nights, and it's going to take time away from your family, which we've experienced both through the campaign process. You're going to have to tell somebody no. You're going to have to rule against someone. You may have to change custody of a child. You may find that somebody is going to lose their house, that somebody's going to lose their car, that somebody's going to go in jail, that somebody may spend the rest of their life in jail. Ladies and gentlemen, these are heavy issues that come before judges. You have to be able to make independent, strong decisions. And that means telling people no.
some of the hardest cases that I have had are family law cases where you do have to, and I've been on both sides. I've been on both sides where the person won custody, the person lost custody. I've been in DHS type cases. I've been in property cases where people lose a portion of their land, a portion of what they work for. For me personally, one of the hardest things that I'm going to have to work on will be you sometimes when you're a judge, you take an oath to apply the facts to the law. Every time someone comes before you, that's your duty. You have to apply the facts given, and every case is different. Every case is different. The circumstances surrounding every case. And you have people on both sides who feel they're right. And sometimes you can't use your heart. You have to use your head and apply the facts to what the law actually lets you do.
Mr. Winningham, next 30-second response. Give us your understanding of the separation of powers.
My understanding of the separation of powers is that people elect representatives in the legislative branch. We're a republic. They elect those people to represent their views in both houses, in the House and in the Senate. That's one branch. Then you have the executive branch, whose job it is to enforce the rules and laws passed by the legislature. The judicial branch then looks at those laws that's been passed by the legislature, especially on a higher level, to see whether or not they are constitutional and muster. And that's we have to have a distinct separation of powers.
Mr. Braswell, same question.
Sure. I heard today from somebody that they thought the three branches of government were Republican, Democrat, and Independent. I don't think that's quite it. Separation of powers is important because we've seen what happens when one branch of the government becomes too powerful. We have to maintain checks and balances. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, you cannot forget about the judicial branch. We see every day what happens to good, strong legislation that you care about. When judges that don't agree with you, slice it, right? Those things are important, and that's why the separation of powers is important to you in this community.
All right, Mr. Braswell, next question. What do you see as the most significant issues in this race?
I think the most significant issues in this case is what's this community going to do? I was hired by Cody Howland to do one thing, and that's to clean up Faulkner County. And we're moving in the right direction. And so I think one of the issues that this community is going to have, and this district is going to have, is which direction do we go? Do we continue to move forward, or do we kind of stick with the same story?
I'm very proud of my reputation in the community. And if you want to take a further look, just ask the attorneys here in town. To me, it's about experience, different types of cases that you've handled and your ties to the community. I think that's very important. To me, someone has to sail in the ship before they can command. And so, to me, experience and ties in the community is very important.
Go to the lightning round, Mr. Winningham. First to you, have you regularly voted in primary and general elections? One word is.
Yes.
Mr. Braswell.
Absolutely.
Mr. Braswell, next question goes to you. In one word, what do you want to accomplish as judge?
Justice.
Mr. Winningham.
Justice.
Go to our close. Mr. Braswell, opportunity, 30 seconds.
Sure.
Your concluding remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been able to do a lot of good at the prosecuting attorney's office. We want to keep that moving forward. I've been the right hand of the judge. I understand what it takes to be a good, strong judge for this district. And I'm going to do something a little unconventional. I'm going to ask you for your vote. And I'm asking my beautiful wife to stand up. Carla, she's going to kill me for this. That's one of the most important things in my life, and I wouldn't be here tonight without her. Look, honey, I love you very much. Thank you very much.
Mr. Winningham.
I'm going to ask you for your vote as well. I ask that you take a look at the candidates, that you take a look at the qualifications of each candidate. Troy and I are running a campaign where people get tired of candidates bashing one another. They do. I ask you if you would just look at the qualifications of the candidates. I think that I had the experience to do that. I had the ties to this community to do that. And I think that is important.
To give Mr. Winningham and Mr. Braswell. Did you get all